Hey card making friends, it's Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of 5 ways to use BetterPress plates in your card making. And yesterday I did a video on how to make the Lindy's Magicals for the pretty backgrounds that I shared in these cards. And I'll link that underneath this video so that you have access to it. It's also over on my blog post today. So today we're going to take all those beautiful backgrounds and I'm going to show you 5 different ways to use BetterPress plates, including those beautiful Lindy's Magical backgrounds. Today we're playing with the abstract floral background, the classic sentiments, and the elegant blooms. We're going to start with the basics for BetterPress, and I'm going to use the cotton cardstock from Spellbinders. I also have some white hammermill, and I have some black I think it's Simon Says Stamps cardstock. Okay, so the base of the BetterPress. This metal plate comes out. As you can see, mine's filthy. You can buy a clean one. I have, but I'm not going to put it in. I have all 3 of my shims inside and underneath because I want the extra pressure, because with the Lindy's Magicals, we're going to be working with watercolor paper. Now, if you want to be able to move this base back and forth more than once, you need to tape this down because there's a little bit of movement in it. And if you don't, then you're going to get halos on your BetterPress, okay? So we're going to start with that cotton paper, and I'm going to tape my paper down to the clear lid, okay? And I'm going to put paper or tape just in 2 corners at opposite ends. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to take one of our BetterPress plates, and I'm going to use the Elegant Blooms to start here. And I'm going to use the black from the Spellbinders BetterPress ink. There's a great selection, and there's also a great selection of re-inkers. And I've just re-inked my black because it really needed it. Okay, so I'm going to take my plate, and I'm going to place it inside the A2 lines on my base, and ink it up with the black ink so you can tap it up and down. You can also twist it ever so slightly just to get into all those little nooks and crannies. And then we're going to place the plastic cover on, and we're going to run it through the Platinum 6 die cutting machine. And this is recommended, but I know that it does work in other machines because people have told me. Okay, and because I have my base taped down, I can go back and forth and make sure I get maximum movement on that black ink. And there we go. I can Copic color this, I can use ink blending, I can use all kinds of things. I'm just going to clean off a little bit of the ink that got on the base. I'm going to move this plate down, and I'm going to show you how to do a double BetterPress. So I've got this in the bottom half of the base plate. You'll see that there's a line across, and you want to make sure that your tape is in the opposite corners to where your plate is. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a great big blank where your tape is. Okay, and you want to make sure that all the pieces of the plate are inside, not hanging out over the edge of your BetterPress. I left one hanging out over the edge, and I have a really nice scar on the side of my Platinum 6 die cutting machine because of it. Okay, so again, I'm going to ink this up, and you notice that top line is staying underneath the middle cross line on the base. That's important for the next step. Okay, so placing my clear top on top, running it through. Okay, and then bringing it back. Normally, you would only go through once if you don't have your bottom taped down. Okay, and there's the first image. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to move the plate off. I'm going to move it up a little bit and over a little bit, just a hair over the center line. And I know I have room to do this because of the placement of my paper on the lid. Okay, so you want to ink again. And I was just testing it to make sure that my tape wasn't going to be in the way and that I was going in the right direction. As you noticed, I flipped the top so that the already inked piece is at the top, and I'm running it through, and now it's going to BetterPress the bottom part of my panel. Okay, and there we go. We have a double image that we can color and use for a card front. That's basic BetterPress. And just a little bit of cleaning here. We're going to use the archival ink cleaner from Ranger inks. These inks that Spellbinders has for the BetterPress are from the same family, so this ink cleaner works really well on this, on the plates as well as on your backgrounds. Well, not totally on your backgrounds, as you can tell by mine. Next up, we're going to use the abstract floral background, and we're going to BetterPress this. You'll notice when I place this in that it covers the lines for the A2. It is slightly bigger than an A2 sized card front. Don't worry about it. You'll just get a little bit of ink on your clear top plate. But for doing a whole card front, you want to curl your tape onto the back of your paper and lay it onto your top just like this, okay? And I'm going to emboss this one instead of inking it. So you saw that I spritzed the paper, and I'm just going to get rid of the extra water that is on my cover. I'm going to place this on top, and I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6. So this is one way of embossing. It's not the best way. I'm going to show you the best way next. I just wanted to show you that you could emboss with it, and you could use your BetterPress if you wanted to. But if you have a Platinum 6 die cutting machine, there is a better way. Okay, so I'm just peeling this paper off, trying not to tear it because it's wet. And of course it's going to get all warped because it's wet. And this is a piece of hammer mill, so it's quite thin. It's 100 pound. And of course with white on white, it's hard to see. If you have a Platinum 6, what you want to do is have a look at your base plate, and you'll see the middle diagram there shows you how to do embossing. So you're going to start with your A base plate, then you're going to use your B platform top, okay, putting that in. Then you're going to put the press plate down. You're going to wet your paper on both sides, and again I'm using another piece of hammer mill so that you can compare exactly the same with the two machines and the same type of paper. And I spritzed it on both sides. I laid it down on top of my press plate. I'm putting the E embossing mat over top, and then the D, the adapter plate. You don't want to use any cutting plates. Okay, so then you're going to run this through, and I go both ways to make sure I get maximum embossing. And I'm going to clean up all the water that I just sprayed all over my tabletop. And I'm going to remove this and peel this back, and look at this beautiful embossing. And look at that lovely piece of pink on there. That's left over from pigments from doing yesterday's Lindy's. Next, we're going to foil with our BetterPress plates. Okay, so I've got everything warming up, and I've got some nice polished brass glimmer foil that I'm going to use, and cutting off a piece a little bit bigger than my plate, good side down. Okay, pushing the button to start the 1-minute timer. I'm adding a piece of black cardstock to it. I like to tape this down, so I go top right and bottom left for taping it down. And then I'm going to cover it with my spacer and my shims, and then we're going to run it through the die cutting machine. And I have an extra shim in there because I use my Platinum 6 die cutting machine an awful lot, so it's getting a little loose. And as you saw there, I use my thumbs at the bottom of the plates just to hold everything in place until I get it into my die cutting machine, and then I run it through. And in this case, I only run it through once, but I go slowly because I want to impress that gold foil as much as possible into my paper. And ooh, look at the reveal. I love this gold on the black. It's gorgeous. Okay, so removing my tape from the back, and you can reuse that 4 or 5 times. We have this lovely panel. Okay, I'm flipping that panel off, and I'm going to come in with this plate from Pinkfresh, and it is just a plain plate, and it's used for reverse foiling. So once we finished with this, we have this lovely piece of foil left over, and it still has a whole pile of foil on it, but it's going to be the reverse image of what we just foiled. So I'm laying it down, good side down, putting another piece of cardstock over top, again, good side down, taping it in place, and then I'm waiting for that bottom light to stop blinking when it becomes solid. It means that everything's warmed up and ready to go. So I have my shims and my spacer on top, and again running it slowly through the Platinum 6, and only once just in case the plate moved. And then you want to peel everything back. And you want to let this sit for a second or two before you peel the foil off. The longer that you let it sit, the better chance you have of that foil transferring. Okay, so now I have the reverse image, and at the end of this video I show you a card I made with the positive and the negative both on one card. Okay, so I'm popping this back in. I'm putting my plate back in, my abstract floral background, and we are going to foil some of this watercolor paper that I played with yesterday with the Lindy's Magicals, and we're going to make a couple of card fronts with it. Okay, so again, I have that linked underneath this video, and there's also a link over to my blog because I share both of the videos on today's blog post. I'm just trying to choose which one of these I want to use. They're so pretty. I've decided on the purple and blue one, and then I think I'm going to use one of the green and blue ones as well. So I'm just grabbing those. I'm going to set the rest aside. I have a piece of paper towel on my work surface. The first thing you want to do with these is grab a clean paper towel, a dry one, and you want to rub the surface of this watercolor paper and get rid of any of the pigment that is left over and dried from the Lindy's Magicals. And as you can see from my paper towel, there is quite a bit. But you want to get as much of that off as possible because it's loose, and so it's not going to floral very well, and you're going to have splotches in your background. So very important step. And then next we want to cut it down to the size that we need. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so I have room to kind of move things around. Cutting these. Then I remember I've got the tags with the names of which colors I used on the back of these, and I want to swatch these. So I'm moving them over to the pieces I'm not using. Okay, so then I'm cutting out the purple and blue one, and we are going to get busy and get some foiling done. The steps for foiling with the watercolor paper are basically the same as using regular cardstock. Again, I'm going to use the polished brass just because I really like it and it shows up well when I do my photos of my cards. I find that just the plain gold is quite light when you're trying to do photos. So again, good side down on the foil, good side down on the watercolor paper. Taping it in place so that it doesn't move, and then covering it again with the shim, the two shims and the spacer, and waiting for that light to quit blinking. I'm really impatient over that. It takes about a minute. Okay, and then you want to really slowly run this through your Platinum 6, and it's going to have a little bit more resistance because, of course, the paper's a lot thicker, but it's worth every step. Wait for the reveal on this one. I'm going to heat this up again because we're going to foil the other one. Okay. Check this out. Aren't they pretty? Just beautiful. And there's a little bit of a gap at the top. Don't worry about it. Again, remember this paper is bigger than what we need. So here's my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I got lots of room to trim out. Okay, so then I'm going to use the black foil. And this is pretty much a matte foil. It's not really shiny, even though it looks like it right there. It doesn't show shiny when you get it foiled. And foiling on watercolor paper leaves a really, really cool texture on the foil. Okay, so here's the black one finished. Back for the reveal, peel that back, and then look at that. And again, you can use both of those reverse pieces on more of this watercolor paper if you want to. Beautiful finishes. All it needs is a sentiment. Speaking of sentiments, I'm just going to quickly foil these because I need them for the cards that I'm going to be making. And I'm showing here that you can use the reverse and do another panel if you want to. Okay, so remember with the BetterPress plates, you can foil with them, but you cannot BetterPress with foil plates. They're thicker and they don't work very well going through your BetterPress machine, and it also voids your warranty. So just a heads up with that. And what's nice about this particular set, and this is called Classic Sentiments, this is from the recent Alex Syberia release, they all glimmer at once, and then there's one die, and they all die cut at the same time, which is awesome. So I'm showing you that I BetterPress them black on white, And now I'm just die cutting all of the ones that I just glimmer foiled. And I love this. Like, you get how many? 8 with 1 foiling and 1 die cutting. Brilliant. Love it. And of course, I absolutely love the gold on the black. It looks spectacular on these. Okay, so here we go. Here's BetterPress with the solid image. BetterPress, moving them around so you get 2. You can BetterPress and then you can Copic color the images. And I did all of those on Hammermill. Okay, then we have the brass foiling on black. And then we used the reverse leftover piece and did it again on black. We did the brass on the watercolor paper. We did the black on the watercolor paper. And then I have 2 panels that I just embossed. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you the finished cards next. I also embossed with a colored piece of cardstock, and it's beautiful. These make awesome backgrounds. Here's the finished cards. You've seen this one before. They're all A2 size. They all have a top folding white card base underneath them. Okay, so here's the second one that I shared the other day with all those pretty colors using the Lindy's Magicals. Here's one that I just finished, and I used a rectangle die to cut it down a little bit so that I could show the beautiful white embossed panel behind it. Here's the positive and the negative of this one, and I lined the flowers up so that they fit exactly from the back to the front panel. This is the one that is done on the purple and blue. I love this one. I love the colors. And then here's one done with the Elegant Blooms, and it's gold foiled on black with a gold panel in between, and then it's got the Abstract Foil also done in gold on black. Here's the colored one that I embossed, and then I Copic colored the Elegant Blooms and die cut it and put it over top. And then here's another one the same way, but I used the other piece of the white embossed background. And I still haven't colored the rest of this one. I haven't had time, but I'm just showing you that, hey, you can do it. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. Everything I've used today is linked underneath this video. There is also thumbnails to all the products that I've used, along with the Alex Syberia new releases, which is all of these BetterPresses. And I've also linked to the video where I did the Lindy's Magicals that I'm referring to in this video. So thank you so much, and toodles!